Welcome to another episode of Jackman Radio. I'm your host, Mike Jackman, and I'm joined tonight by actor Damian Maffei. Damian, thanks for joining us on the road at a premiere screening, no less, correct?
Sort of, yeah. The premiere was 2 nights ago, and I didn't go to that, but I snuck in there and saw a screening yesterday. Probably wore this shirt too. Yeah. Thank you. Thanks for having me on.
Absolutely, appreciate
It's gonna
you
be like
coming
a found
on.
footage movie here with me with the camera, but
Yeah, we're going to turn this into a pitch for Shudder or AMC or something or Netflix.
Excellent.
So. Damien, you were in a new film that was actually shot in New Hampshire, I believe, by Dreamscape Productions, and that is called Round the Decay. Can you tell our viewers a little bit about that and what that was like filming in New Hampshire and kind of what the deal is with that film?
Yeah, that was Round the Decay. It's a creature feature. They came to me. It's a guy named Topher Hansen, lovely little gent. Not little, but he's normal size. Cut. I had worked with him a few times on one good movie and then one miserable movie. So we've been through it a little bit, and he said they were doing this creature feature, and that there was some interest in me playing, the Great White Hunter, Monroe, in that, and I was like, yeah, I don't get to do that too much, not be the monster. So, I was totally into it, and I've spent a lot of time in New Hampshire. This was filmed in the Waterville Valley and thereabouts. A lot of skiing and stuff, but we filmed in April, May, something, whatever it was. It was really, really cold, and I think that was a surprise to everyone. But at one point, the first day I was filming, it rained nonstop. It was freezing, and then it only stopped raining to snow. And we were out there eating, like spring clothing and whatnot. And it was, I think in that scene you can see we're like, get the hell out of here. But otherwise, it was very pleasant. It was a pleasure. It's a really, really good group. Adam Newman directed it, and we filmed a lot in this lodge, the Snowy Owl Inn. It was great, a lot of fun, and creatures. This great effects team, Anomaly Effects. They do a lot of Mike Flanagan's films, and I think that's
cool.
Really cool for me to be a part of as a lifelong nerdy horror fan. Growing up watching these monsters and stuff, and then be duking it out with one. I mean, can't really ask for a better job.
Sounds like practical effects. A lot of practical.
Oh yeah, all practical as far as I can tell. I mean, they were there in front of us, and there's a person running around in the creature suit, and intestines and stuff all there for us to see and smell and taste if they weren't watching you.
Take a little bite.
Just a lick,
Chowcada. Yeah, like Day of the Dead.
Captain Rhodes, of course.
May he rest in peace.
Right.
He was a Mass boy too, actually. He was from Massachusetts, that actor.
Was he? Joe Pilato?
Joe Pilato was from Fitchburg, Massachusetts, or Leominster, one of the two.
Really?
Yeah, I actually met him once in Worcester at a convention and talked to him about the Fitchburg, Leominster area. I've actually spent some time there myself. My dad had a car lot in Leominster back in the day. So
How was he? I met him once in Indianapolis in like 2010. He wasn't having a great time.
I met him in like probably 05 or 06. It actually would have been the 20th of Day of the Dead, so that would have been 05. And him and Gary Clark were yelling lines at each other, and he was sipping some white wine, having a good time. So I know he had more struggles as the years went on. He had some health issues, but he was more than game to take photos and recite the lines and hang out with the fans. So that was a really cool memory.
That's good. Good.
But it seems to me, Damien, like you are or have become kind of a genre actor. I maybe you don't like that term, but for the horror genre, it seems like your resume. You've appeared in a lot of horror pictures. Do you like to lean into that, or are you looking to do? Are you drawn to horror, or like what do you attribute that to?
No one else will have me. Ha! Just kidding. I mean, that's what you know. That's what the normal people think. I am definitely drawn to horror. I've been watching horror since I could sneak downstairs and turn the TV on and find it, or rent movies VHS underage. But no, I love it, and it's. I mean, I'm a serious actor. I went to this very prestigious acting school in New York City, and I was the horror guy there. It was like, oh, and here's Damien. He's the horror guy, and like all the exercises you do in class and stuff, like all mine were horror. And they were like, you got to do something other than horror. It's like, and then my classmates and other people I'd work with, like, why do you love horror so much? Don't you want to do, non-horror? And like, yeah, sure. I just want to do stuff that interests me and excites me. And the stuff that does interest and excite me the most is horror stuff. So,
Amen.
That's why I keep doing it. And anything I come up with on my own or try to push is going to be horror-ish.
Well, another film in your repertoire, a new one, Black Eyed Susan. I would say that's got some sci-fi and some drama, and it's got a lot of stuff going on. And I would say that your performance in that is one of the most gutsy and fearless performances I've seen from a leading guy in a long time. Horror aside,
Black Eyed Susan is it's like sci-fi drama. Definitely, there is horror to it. This is the whole thing.
Sure.
But like that movie, that one of the producers on it, Justin Martell, had reached out to me, and I had been wanting to work with him for a while. At that point, he produces The Last Drive-In, the Joe Bob show, and he's got Street Trash coming out. But he's my kind of people. He's out there. He's off kilter, unstable.
He's a true original.
Yeah. So he reached out to me and he was like, hey, we're doing this movie. It's called Black Eyed Susan. It's a Vinegar Syndrome production. And I was like, Vinegar Syndrome makes movies now? And he was like, they do now. And it's being shot on film, being scored by Fabio Frizzi, and it's written and directed by Scooter McRae. I was like, stop talking. Like, right now. Let's do it right now. And then he was like, full disclosure, and then he told me what it was about and like what I had to do, and I was just like, oh, I am not brave enough to do this movie. I can't. Sorry, no, not me. So I was like, no way. And the schedules weren't working out, so I told him. I was like, I'm booked for that time. Like, oh, I can't do it. So, like, get me on the next one, please. And he said, what if we push the schedule for you? I was like, oh, shit. So I was like, just, send me the script. Let's have a look. There's no way I can possibly agree to doing this movie. But I read it right away. And I remember I was sitting in my kitchen. All the lights were off, and I was just sitting there for hours. It was 2, 3 in the morning, and I was just like, I have to do this movie. I think, like, I have to do it. The script was brilliant. There's everything about it was just brilliant. It scared the crap out of me, but that's the kind of stuff you do, or that's the kind of stuff I want to do. So I did it.
Yeah, I don't want to give too much away, but the implications of the overarching plot and how you get to that point. But there's stuff you can relate to, not just with the technology and what's on the market now, but what people are going to do if they're in the gig economy or they've gone through problems in their own relationships and they're desperate for money or a job. And you played that part of it really well too. And it really humanized. It humanized an otherwise kind of absurd premise in some ways, right?
Yeah. And he, Derek, the character I play, he is very human. He's very human. He's very average guy walking around. He thinks he's a decent guy. He thinks he's, the good guy.
Right.
And that's how I went into it. That's how I was like, I go into this. Derek is, decent guy doing what he has to do to live. And then the script took care of everything else. You just be, truthful throughout everything. And it just really takes care of itself.
Yeah, well, I thought it was very effective, and I hope that everybody who's into horror and sci-fi and questions of morality, and maybe is a fan of Blade Runner and the implications of AI and dolls, I'll just say dolls for lack of a better word, and how we treat them and how we're going to interact and behave with them now going forward. It's a movie you should definitely check out and consider. It's at times a tough watch, but but that's part of what makes a movie good, is how you respond to it, whether it makes you feel something, whether it's anger or sadness or disgust or horror. I think that's the mark of a great movie and a great performance. So I was definitely stuck with me. I've only watched it once. I'm going to try and watch it again, but
I wonder how much rewatch ability is in it. I mean, I don't know. I can't see people being like, "Oh man, I'm really in the mood for Black Eyed Susan." Like, let's watch Black Eyed Susan again.
We're going to turn it into a midnight screening like Rocky Horror. It's going to go that way.
I could die now if that happened.
And another one of your more recent films, I think it finally came out this year, was Stream, which seems to be picking up a lot of traction. And that's another, I guess, kind of like a neo-slasher flick.
Yeah.
Kind of more of a slasher.
More technology. I mean, technology scary shit. So
it is.
It's always relevant. Stream. It's those wacky fuzz on the lens guys who do the Terrifier movies and such. All New York boys, on my coast here, talk about cannolis. Anytime I'm around them, I kind of get this accent going, but I love them. And Stream slasher movies, a lot of genre people in there. It's wall to wall genre folks. You can't make a move without stepping on someone from your favorite horror movie. But it's a lot of fun. It came out October 15th. It's streaming. It was in theaters. Did a little theater business. But it's out there. You just want some horror fun. It's got great practical effects. Damian Leone did all the effects. The director of Terrifier movies. So
talented dude.
Yeah.
Talented guy.
It's a great group, and I know that they have big plans for more of them, and I have plans to be in them. So you should see it.
Awesome.
If you want more of them and more of me.
Yeah, I haven't seen that one yet, but that one's definitely on my list for like horror and Halloween watches this week. I always have my go-tos, but I always like to try and mix in new titles. So I think Stream, you can get it on Amazon Prime. You can rent it now. It's available, I think.
Yeah, I think it's available. It's not like like on any subscription things yet, but you can rent it at a bunch of places.
Yeah, it's Tony Todd, Danielle Harris, Jeffrey Combs. I mean, like you were saying, it's kind of like an Expendables of horror legends.
Yeah, a lot. Terry Kaiser, my good friend Terry Kaiser's in there. A bunch of people. I can't name them. I don't even know. Just too many. Tim Curry's in there.
Oh, Tim Curry. That's right. Yeah. Isn't this his first
Curry.
movie in a long time?
I guess so. Yeah.
Frankenfurter himself, guys.
David, Art the Clown's in there. It's just silly to try to name them all. It could be like a fun game.
Yeah, spot the horror icon. But
Right.
you kind of alluded to earlier, like when you were talking about your training at acting and saying that you are a serious actor. I myself do consider horror and horror actors serious. I know a lot of people in the mainstream, quote unquote, always they don't and they snub their nose at horror. But I think it's bigger than ever, man. We just saw today, Terrifier 3 is the most successful not rated film of all time.
Right.
It just came out and broke that record.
Well, I mean, first of all, who gives a fuck what mainstream or anything?
I know. Yeah, they like to shit on it though, and they're usually wrong.
Horror is supposed to be, punk rock, so it's the black sheep. So it's like the Oscars aren't acknowledging us. Like, who cares? The movies keep getting made. The genre keeps making money. But like I it's horror. Did have a phase there and continues to adapt and evolve and devolve in a way. There is brilliant, award-worthy stuff being made and fun, really, really legitimately good stuff. But also, it is probably easily the genre which has the most garbage too, because you can make them for cheap, and I mean that's what the 80s was this slasher boom and stuff. It was like, pump these out for cheap. You don't need any names in there. You don't even need actors. Just have a call, and these are the best looking people, and these are the people we're going to kill. And that's like, I mean, that's that's where it comes from partly, but like, who cares?
I think that the Friday the 13th series has the best looking girls. What do you think about that? What's your take?
What's the competition? Nightmare on Elm Street and
Halloween, Nightmare on Elm Street. Texas Chainsaw. I guess they made what, 4? No, at this point, probably 7 of those movies.
Texas Chainsaw is just all over the place, though. So
yeah,
it's hard.
And I'm saying in terms of like popular, like 80s slashers, or
yeah, I guess so.
Because I went back and rewatched the Friday the 13th not that long ago. Most of them, and I'm like, man, these girls are all like really beautiful. Like, they convinced them to be killed in these horrible ways with degreeing levels of clothing on. It's like, Jesus.
They all thought it was their big break on their way to doing rom-coms.
It was for Kevin Bacon,
Right. Well, Kevin Bacon, is a really good actor. So,
well, it's great too to see a lot of these actors who get their start in a slasher or a horror flick, like Brad Pitt's first movie. One of his first movies was Cutting Class.
Yeah.
In the 80s, I think Martin Mull was in it, and he even auditioned for Phantasm 2, which he lost out to James LaGrosse, from what I understand.
Jill Sholin, is that her name? She was in a bunch of stuff. She was in like Popcorn and Stepfather 2. She's in that as well. Cutting Class.
Okay, yeah.
Yeah, but I mean, the movie had Martin Mull in it. It's not like it was like completely obscure. I mean, Martin Mull kicked ass. But yeah, a lot of them got their start in it. But do they come back and do horror? That's the thing. It's like erecting a statue of people born in towns who leave as soon as they can and never come back. It's like, why are you giving this person a fucking statue? Like, give a statue to the people who chose to live here.
Yeah. Nickelback. Nickelback went back. Yeah.
Kevin Bacon does some horror stuff. He's a good one.
Stir of Echoes is one of my favorite Kevin Bacon. Or he was just in Maxine with Mia Goth. Did you happen to catch that one?
No.
But like I was saying to you before we started, one of my favorite horror flicks of all time is The Strangers, which came out in 2008. It scared the shit out of me. I remember being on a date and seeing that in the movie theaters, and I was actually like scared out of my mind. And then I was waiting for the sequel. Flash forward to 2018. I think Brian Bertino either wrote, or I don't know if he directed the second one. I know he did the first one. But you played the man in the mask in the second one, Strangers Pray at Night, which in my opinion is one of the great slasher sequels of all time. So I know you've probably been asked about this a lot, but how did that come to be being cast in that movie? And what was it like shooting that in Kentucky and North Carolina, from what I understand?
Well, Bertino, I've never met him, so he definitely didn't direct it. He wrote the original script, I guess, but it underwent a lot of changes, and I'm sure he's never seen the movie. So, although if someone knows otherwise, let me know.
I'll look into it.
Yeah, I had quit acting or not acting. It's just miserable. I moved to Maine, Portland, Maine, and I'm just gonna live in Maine. And I got a dog. And it's like, maybe I'll become like a sea person, like an old sea hag or something. But I get seasick.
Right on the old port.
Yeah. So I was there for a few months, and my friend John Wagner reached out. John, we had worked on a movie way back in the olden days of 2008, and he had started to have some success there. He had produced this movie, Starry Eyes. Our friends Kevin and Dennis directed, and Cheap Thrills, and Bone Tomahawk. So he was having a good run there. I mean, I loved Bone Tomahawk. So he called me up and he told me we're doing a sequel to The Strangers. And I was like, oh, it's been like 10 years. How interesting. Like, what's up? And he asked if, I'd be interested in playing the bad guy. I was like, the bag on the head guy? And I was like, no, because I was just being like a little brat, very bitter. And I was like, that you don't need an actor for that. I was an actor. Now I'm an old sea hag. So, but he sent me the script, and I looked at the script, and I got to the part where the man in the mask is in the van with the father, the Martin Henderson character, and stabs him. And I was like, this scene is so great. It could be so harrowing. Like, I need to do this scene. I don't care what happens with the rest of the movie. Like, I need to do this scene. So, like, I wanted to do that. And, so I did it. And Johannes Roberts is the director. He's wonderful, one of my favorite people on the planet. He's hilarious, but he's always working, always doing good stuff. Big horror nerd. So we went to Kentucky, not North Carolina. Kentucky. And like a minute in Cincinnati, but all mostly Kentucky. And it was like fantasy camp for like 2 months. It was the greatest time. It was the most fun. It's the best people. It was awesome. Like I can't speak with more love about something than I do Strangers Prey at Night. That whole experience. And while we were making it, we knew it was going to get just crapped on by critics and fans.
People who were so in love with the original, but I really enjoyed it the first time I saw it. I was like, that was a hell of a sequel. Like, I'm not even I'm not even being hyperbolic. Like, I thought it delivered, and it there was enough differences where it really stood on its own. And I had a lot of hope for the new trilogy that's coming out that I understand Rennie Harlan is doing, but I have not seen the first one yet, and they just released the trailer for the second one. But and I'm glad they hired an actor for that, because there are parts where you can actually see your eyes, and I'm pretty sure that's you. Your eyes, through the mask.
It is me. Johannes wanted actors in there. And he got a little pushback, because it was like, just have stunt guys do it, which is why I didn't want to do it in the first place, because I was like, there's no respect for this stuff. But he wanted it, and the reason he wanted actors in there is because he wanted someone to try to bring a little something to these moments, which is really the only challenge of doing these parts, is like trying to inject a little something in there, trying to find a fleeting moment to make it your own and kind of stand out, but not too much.
Because you had no lines. I don't believe you had any lines.
No.
But and of course, one of the highlights of the film is the scene in the pool that was shot at the state park, and I think that's the best, most iconic use of Total Eclipse of the Heart since Old School. But that's you in the pool, huh? That's with the axe. And did you kind of do all that, or was there a stunt double? Or
it's mostly me. For the fully submerged stuff, there's my stunt double Matt, because Lewis and I would have killed each other. So, and the bag, and Lewis is a huge movie star now. So like they definitely didn't want me to kill him.
Top Gun 2, Salem's Lot. Yeah, great performances.
His father's not a bad actor either.
Yeah. That's right. That's right. Yeah, he was in. He's done horror as well. He was in The Grudge. Bill Pullman.
Yeah,
I'm pretty
Serpent
sure.
in the Rainbow.
Oh, that's yeah, Wes Craven.
While
that's
you were sleeping.
I haven't.
Goddamn nepo babies.
Right? Yeah.
I love Lewis. They're both wonderful humans and actors. So good for them. Anyway, enough about them. Like they get enough time.
Yeah, this is the Maffei hour.
This is about me. How about fucking Lewis?
And well, Kip Weeks didn't come back. Was there any? I mean, because he's a pretty imposing figure, but I don't think he had the panache that you have. I'm not trying to downplay his performance, but the axe in the pool and the car scene. I'd like to think at the end of it in the hospital, maybe that was you breathing behind the curtain. Who knows?
Definitely was. We shot many. If you really want to talk about Kip Weeks, I'll talk about him, but it's best not speaking about him at all.
It's an obscure reference. We don't have to.
Yeah, we shot a bunch of different endings.
Because I had read that Liv Tyler was supposed to come back for the first part of the movie. Was that ever?
I mean, I heard that, but only from the internet. Like they wouldn't have made any. What was she driving down the street in Kentucky? Like what?
She's picking up the missionary.
I mean, there's. I don't think there's ever any chance.
No,
that would happen. But I mean, I'm just thinking about it now. I'm only thinking about it now for the first time. Like how stupid that would have been.
Yeah, it wouldn't have made a lot of sense.
Driving around looking for strangers.
Right. Yeah, but Christina Hendricks though too from Mad Men. I mean, wow.
Right. Yeah.
Not that she lasted that long. Spoilers, everybody. 6 years later, but
Yeah. No. It was a great cast. I loved that cast and those characters too. And like, I think they make very human decisions for the most time.
That's what I like.
Lines about stupid decisions, but like, look at society. Look at this world. Like, we'll go on Twitter. Like stupid decisions. What are you talking? Like that's all. It's what this country runs on: stupid decisions.
And Duncan,
so, like it's very hard to shoot a human being for most people. So like Luke has the gun and he's like he can't pull the trigger because it's hard to do it. He's just a kid, And then she's like, "Give it to me." But like, yeah, I love that group. I love that movie and the pool. I love that, and that was mostly me. I had stunt double Matt. He did the hard stuff. Just submerged though. But and yeah, we went back. I was filming a movie a couple of months later called Haunt, practically down the block from where we filmed Strangers, and it was the same cinematographer and a lot of the same crew. And Johannes and them came back so we could film another ending for it, which was intended to be the theatrical release ending. And in that ending, I visibly show up at the hospital and kill a doctor.
Okay.
Freeze frames on me. And I was like, yes, sequel, boom. But they didn't use it because they suck.
Yeah, now they got Rennie Harlan, who did one of the Nightmare on Elm Street sequels, and then he did Deep Blue Sea, which is a phenomenal movie. I mean, Samuel L. Jackson getting bit in half by I think it was a Mako, right?
It's a movie.
It wasn't a Great White. It's a movie. Before Snakes on a Plane. It paved the way for Snakes on a Plane.
My old friend Tom Jane in there running around swimming.
Oh, yeah. The Punisher.
Yeah, Rennie Harlan. Yeah, Cliffhanger. He's certainly done Die Hard 2. He's certainly done. I mean, if you asked me to pick someone to direct like a Strangers reboot, I probably wouldn't have picked Rennie Harlan, but someone did. So
Now, have you seen the new one, or?
I haven't. No, I'm not boycotting it or anything. I just haven't.
I haven't yet. I will. It's on my list. But I'm going to watch Stream and, probably revisit Strangers 2. Or actually, Round the Decay I'd like to see, especially since you guys shot it here in New Hampshire. I mean, that's always cool. I think Dreamscape Productions did have a showing of one of their films here in Peterborough. I live in Peterborough. We have the oldest New Hampshire theater in all of New Hampshire in my town.
Really? Round the Decay will have some theatrical run in January.
Okay. Cool.
I'm sure you'll get an opportunity to see it near there.
Yeah, I mean, I love seeing stuff in the theaters as much as possible. I don't go as often as I used to, but the couple times a year I do go, I try to make it a horror flick, or I did see the new Scream 5 and Scream 6. Have you seen either of those?
I have.
What are your thoughts?
Apart. Those are my thoughts.
Okay.
Yeah, the last one was good. Was that with Dermot Mulroney and
New York City.
I think,
which they filmed in Canada, which they doubled as New York, of course.
I probably find the cast more likable than I do many of the other ones, especially definitely the first one. I like Scream 2 though. I
do too.
They killed Jamie Kennedy quick in that. That's good for me. Got Timothy Olyphant and Laurie Metcalf. That's good for me. It's a quality slasher flick. That is a slasher movie, part 2.
Hell yeah. We got a comment here from Fit and Frightening. Damian is the best masked man sack face in any of the Strangers movies.
Yes. Oh. Thank you. We'll see. I mean, they're probably going to give these guys coming up, or Guy, or I don't know what is going on in these movies, but
they're having one of Elon Musk's AI robots is going to play the next man.
That's scary. The one standing over you sleeping.
That's going to be the crossover between the Strangers and Black Eyed Susan. They're going to have a sex doll playing the Man in the Mask in the future one.
That doesn't sound bad. I bet you Rennie would love that. But thank you for saying that. I am flattered, honored.
And then they said, seriously, the pool scene is everything in all caps.
I did. I'm probably not even supposed to mention it, but me and Lewis and Johannes did an interview with Vulture magazine, and I think it's coming out very soon. And it was all about the pool scene. Vulture was like, "Hey, we'd like to talk to you about the iconic pool scene from The Strangers Pray at Night." And I said, "Now?" And they were like, "Yes." And I was like, "But just the pool scene." So, and it's funny because during the interview, I, unconsciously, or whatever the right word is there, started talking about other scenes in the movie, and they kept bringing me back to the pool scene.
It is iconic. I mean, it is.
Yeah,
and,
got lots of lights, and it's water, and there's music. Trees, those palm trees are fantastic. Oh, look, when we were filming that, I even stopped a few times and was like, this is really cool. I think that this is really cool. I didn't have anything to the biggest movie I'd done before that was like $125,000 movie, so like what the hell do I know? But and there was no music playing, but yeah, I was like, I think this is cool.
You had something. Cool. I enjoyed The Wrong Turn reboot, requel, remake. It came out, I think, in 2001 or 21 or
2021. Yeah, that
I watched. That was good too.
Oh yeah, that's a great group too, and that
was a great twist.
That was
on it.
filmed not too far from Strangers and Haunt, but in Ohio. Um, yeah, no, I love that group. I had a really good run there of really fantastic groups, and I had a good budget, and the director is so fantastic, Mike Nelson, and I really, when they were talking to me, you know, I actually started talking to Mike because he was a big fan of Pray at Night, but I knew he was doing Wrong Turn, and then started talking about it, and I was like, they're gonna want me to play, one of these cannibals with the fingers and the, like a big talking tumor or something. But I read that script and I was like, oh, woof, what is this? And it was by the same guy that wrote and created the original Wrong Turn. But yeah, I really dug the new direction and the cast, and like filming it was such a good group. That was a hard shoot though, the locations wise. But yeah, I mean that was supposed to come out huge release, theatrical nationwide, but COVID stopped it.
That's right. I remember COVID having an impact on that, and I kind of watched it towards
And that
the
was
end. But
that was heartbreaking for
yeah,
everyone involved. I mean, you put that much work and that much money into that movie, and you're proud of it. You really think it's good, and then it gets a one night Fathom event during, pretty ugly COVID times. So yeah,
we had to call it the flu world order.
yeah,
It was nasty. It didn't. It took no prisoners, and it gutted the film industry for. I mean, still a lot of recovering going on from
yeah.
that.
And Wrong Turn. I mostly hear good stuff about it, but like I don't hear much about it. It's rarely something someone brings up to me, which is too bad because everyone involved, not me, but the others, Mike and Charlotte, and that was the same producers as Strangers, the movie I did, and Haunt. They deserve better because they really do make good movies and put everything they got into it.
Yeah, it's crazy how sometimes something will hit or it will come at the right time, or maybe the audience didn't find the audience that it needed to, or and it seemed like Wrong Turn that's what kind of happened with that. So
Yeah.
I definitely see that. But we have another question here, and I was going to bring this up, but Sylvie wants to know how you got into voice acting, and said that your voice acting roles alone are also very good. And we
Well,
can
thank
segue
you.
into Texas Chainsaw through that.
That's a good time to do it. I didn't get into voice acting. Voice acting got into me. No, seriously. And you know what? I tell this story, and I got to think that maybe there's a lot of really good, hardworking voice actor hopefuls out there who probably don't appreciate it, but it's the truth. I was at Texas Frightmare weekend. I was a guest, and the show had ended, and I was foraging for food in the hallway, and this guy I knew, Tom, came up to me, and he said, "I'd like to introduce you to these gents here. They're from Gun Media," and I was like, "Oh my god, Friday the 13th! Like, I love that game. Like, kidding me?" We talked about Friday the 13th for a while, and it was Ronnie and Matt, and they told me that a guy was on the top of the list, hoped that I would voice a character for their new upcoming game, which they couldn't tell me what the game was, but we're in Texas. Um, so I was like, I am? Like, why would I be at the top of a voice list for anything? Because, like, if you had known me, which would only be from movies, not like theater, it would be from horror movies. It would be from 2 horror movies at that time. And it would be like Strangers and Haunt, which I'd say like 5 lines between the 2 of them. And my voice is all like weird. But and I've still never gotten a clear answer on this. It's kind of fun now, like what I've made up in my head. But I was told that Ronnie's I was recommended, or they were interested. He saw me on a panel, which would have been at like Mad Monster, and I was by myself, which is not advisable because it's just me. And and Ronnie was like texted Matt and told Matt he's like, you got to come in here and hear this Damian guy. Like he's like, sarcastic and arrogant and like aggressive. Like that's Johnny. And I was like, oh, thank you. Great. So that's what I'm told is what they wanted there. So and that was it. I mean, I was like, video games, Texas Chainsaw Massacre? Like, you fucking kidding me? Let's do it now. So it was a no-brainer. And especially like I'd never done anything like that before. I'd done an audiobook before. That was the closest. And yeah, it had a lot of challenges I wasn't expecting. But I mean, if you're listening to me now and you play Texas Chainsaw, I mean, I didn't do too much different with my voice, just an attitude change.
You have to kind of you're corralling the sorority girls. You're kind of
that's now Rush Week, although he doesn't talk too much Rush Week. But before the initial release, he's very loud and boisterous and arrogant and loud and yelly. And he's just kind of full of himself. He's really he's not too concerned about sneaking up on people. He's just loud.
And so for the initial game there, they had I think they had Kane Hodder like doing stop motion for Leatherface, correct?
Yes,
I think he was involved in that. I think I remember seeing him in that weird suit, like with the
Kane like the does the motion capture for Leatherface and Grandpa.
Okay.
Yeah, that's all true. Not stop motion though. That is an
motion capture.
Not too used effect now. Like
sorry if I said stop motion. I meant motion capture.
Although bring back stop motion. I would love a stop motion Kane Hodder as Leatherface. That'd be great. Well, Harryhausen.
They had some of it for the new.
Kane did Jason in their Friday the 13th game.
That's right. Yeah,
and I think Kane was a stunt double for Leatherface at one point in one of the movies. Probably part 2 or 3 or 5 or 6 or 7 or something.
I think you're right about that. He has a distinction of being the only actor to play Leatherface, Jason Voorhees, and Freddy, because he was the glove that came up at the end of Jason Goes to Hell to pull down Jason's mask. That was Kane Hodder's hand.
It's probably 3 because Jeff Burr directed that, and that's starting to make more sense. The one with Viggo Mortensen.
Was Matthew McConaughey in that one, or was he in one a few years later?
Part 4. He's in the brilliant Next Generation.
And Ken Foree was in, I think, part 3.
Ken Foree's in part 3. Viggo Mortensen. It's
it's a masterpiece.
Yeah.
I like part 2. I like Dennis Hopper.
Next Generation's a fucking masterpiece. You got Matthew McConaughey, Renee Zellweger, and the Illuminati, and it is just a marvelous movie. And Kim Henkel directed it, the writer, creator of the original Texas Chainsaw.
Wow. I got to meet Gunnar Hansen once. Very friendly guy.
I met him at Fangoria convention, probably 1996, and he was sitting next to Kane Hodder, and I got Kane Hodder to sign my Jason Takes Manhattan poster.
Oh, nice.
And now, I know Kane, and he harasses me a lot, and we keep winding up at it.
Has he choked you out yet?
No, he's not going to fucking choke me. I'll slap him in his face. I was doing an interview at the Texas Chainsaw. I love Kane, although I can do one shot. I'll do one shot and I'll have to take a nap. But he's like, you got to do this shot. You got to do that shot. It's too much, man. Come on. I was doing an interview at the launch party for Texas, and I was in the room, and Kane was sitting across from me, not being interviewed, but he kept interrupting to chime in and ask me questions while I'm being interviewed by someone else. And he's asking questions. I was like, I beg your pardon, hold on a second. I was like, could you shut up, man? And I was like, you know what? Actually, I was like, I met you in 1997, and you wrote on my poster, "I'll see you in hell." And the launch party was in Texas, and it was like 111 degrees. So he doesn't do so good in the heat. So I wrote, I was like, you wrote, "I'll see you in hell," and ta-da, here we are. We're back.
That's great. Yeah, she's my favorite Jason. I am partial to Kate. It's the one I grew up with. You know what I mean? It's coming up in the '90s, spooky world in Massachusetts. You know, his first one was New Blood, I think, where the girl has the psychic abilities, if I remember correctly. And then
with my good friend Terry there as Dr.
Terry. That's Terry Kaiser, isn't it?
Yeah, Dr.
Without the mustache.
Without the mustache. He never has a mustache. He tells a good story about why he had a mustache for Bernie. Dr.
I forget.
Dr. Shit.
Yeah, I'm blanking on it. He was not a good doctor, though. He was not helpful.
No.
He was not helpful. But, I mean, that's one of the best Friday sequels.
Bad News Cruz. Dr. Cruz.
Dr. Cruz?
See?
Hey, Ted Cruz.
I knew I'd get there.
Ted Cruz was BTK. Or no, he was the Zodiac Killer, so... I don't know if you ever heard that theory.
Ted Cruz?
Yeah, Ted Cruz was Zodiac.
Our political genius, Ted Cruz?
Well, you're talking about Texas being hell. I mean, you know. Yeah, the senator. You never saw that meme of that Ted Cruz was the number one suspect in Zodiac?
No. I don't think Ted Cruz has it in him to pull off something like that.
It's a great.
I can see him doing some shit and being sleazy. And groping and like, but he's a fucking coward. He wouldn't. He's not smart enough to do that.
It's just funny how that, like, a couple years ago, that trended as like a huge meme that like Ted Cruz was plausible as a suspect for Zodiac. It's just, I don't know. I thought it was funny because so in New Hampshire, all the presidential candidates come through here, and Ted Cruz came to my street, and my brother literally trolled him in person, dressed up as Donald Trump, promising him a cabinet appointment if he would endorse him. I got to send you that photo.
Yes, please.
It's a photo of my twin brother dressed up as Donald Trump, laughing at Ted Cruz, saying, "Ted, if you drop out today and you endorse me, maybe I'll make you ambassador to your real home country, Canada." And he said that right to Ted Cruz's face, and his campaign staffers were like, "Oh my God!" It's a moment you can only get in the New Hampshire primary. Like, you can only they all have to come here from both parties, and if you're a little bit of a troll, you can go and troll.
Right.
It's a lot of fun, you know. But you know, politicians are like actors, and you know what? They're not really great actors, are they? A lot of them.
No. Well,
or maybe they are.
We keep it continues to happen. So.
Political horror. I mean, the Dead Zone. I go back to the Dead Zone. Martin Sheen, his character running for president. That's tremendous.
Dead Zone's always relevant.
And, you know, that's another reason why I like the horror genre so much, Damian, because the commentary and the truths that it can state that sometimes is ahead of the curve against other genres. And
sure.
It's the real world is a lot scarier, in my opinion.
Got that right. That's why we watch this shit.
Exactly. It's cathartic. So, all right. So we're actually coming up on the 50-minute mark, and I want to be respectful of your time. So I want to thank you. And if you have any upcoming, you have so many current projects right now. What's in the pipeline? What do you got coming that you want to promote or talk about or tease, or where can people find you, etc.?
Somewhere in the future, a movie very near and dear to me called The Events Surrounding a Peeping Tom will come out. It's one of my favorite scripts of all time, easily. And I'm really, really proud of that sucker. That'll come out. I just don't have the date yet. So, Round the Decay in January in theaters. And if you're playing Texas or you want to, keep doing that. And don't complain to me about things about the game, but feel free to send, compliments. And what else? It's got to be something else. And Black Eyed Susan will come out, I'm not supposed to say, soon this year.
Soonish. It had a big splash at Brooklyn Horror, I think a week or two ago or last week.
Premiered in Fantasia in Canada, Montreal. It comes out this year, so there's not much of this year left. So just keep your peepers peeled, and you'll see.
All things Maffei, folks. Well, thanks again for coming on and hang out for a sec when we end the stream. But that'll do it, folks, for another Jackman Radio. I hope you have enjoyed our Halloween special. And